right, 8.3, multiplying and dividing. Now remember, just back to grade school. When we're dealing with fractions and multiplication, we do not need an LCD. All right, in the world of all my errors, that might be the first time I made this one. I forgot to turn it into a notebook file. I was going to write on here and then I can't do that on Word. So remember, no LCD. You can do it, but if you do that, you're just going to be spending way more time because you're going to make the fraction bigger and then end up reducing it. Okay, so we don't need an LCD. So you don't need to find out, number one, what number 14 and 615 both go into. Now, again, as I said in the notes, there are two choices here. You can multiply straight through and then reduce. Or you can reduce before you multiply. All right? Especially with big numbers like this, I personally try to reduce first because, at least with the numbers, otherwise you're going to have huge numbers. And in my opinion, it's harder to reduce bigger numbers than smaller numbers. Okay? So, for example, I'm going to say this 2 goes into 14 7 times. Now, if you're afraid you're going to lose this negative sign, one, I would circle it. But if you're afraid you're going to lose it, you could always just cross that out and make that a -7, just so the negative stays with the fraction. It doesn't matter, but I will tell you, it's very common when somebody crosses out that 2, they go, oh, and cross off real big, and then they lose that negative. So it's up to you. You could circle it, put an arrow there to remind yourself of it, put a negative down here to, before you get started to remind yourself, or just change that 14 to a -7 instead of +7. A few choices there. Okay? So I'm just going to do that. And now, 25 and 615. Okay? So what goes into 25 and 615? So first off, I would just see on my calculator, does 25 go into 615? You should know it's not. If you think about money, quarters, 25, 50, 75, it's not going to happen. Okay? So you can still take your calculator and divide 615 by 25, but you might be able to figure out it's not going to work out whole, but 5 will. So 615 divided by 5 is 123. So I can divide this by 5 and get 5, and divide this and get 123. Now, with the letters, sometimes it is easier, at least for me. I like to simplify the numbers beforehand, but the letters I will multiply. So it's kind of like a hybrid, a little bit of both worlds. Because that way, if there's multiple letters all around, instead of canceling and multiplying and then canceling again, I just do it all at once. So on the top over here, I'm just going to kind of give myself a little reminder. I have a cubed, and I have a b, and I have x cubed. And at the bottom, I have an x, and I have a z to the 5th. I have an a squared and a b squared. And then I just ask myself two simple questions. Where do I have more? How many more? Okay? So that negative can stay outside. I can put it up here on top with the 5 if I wanted to. Whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Okay? And then 7 times 123 is 861. And I know since I can't reduce any further on the top, that I know that's fine. Plus 861 doesn't end in a 5 or a 0. Now, my A's. Well, I have 3 here and 2 here. Where do I have more? On top. How many more? 1 more. You don't have to put the 1, but just for illustration. Most of us go in alphabetical order. Doesn't really matter. So I have b squared and b. Where do I have more b's? On the bottom. How many more? 1. I have my x here and x cubed here. Where do I have more? On the top. 2 more. And there are no z's on top, so I just write z over 5, and I am finished. All right, over here, I'm going to factor as much as I can here. So this, I'm going to take a 2 out. X plus 3 is done. I'm going to take a 6 out. Looky there, X plus 1. And I'm going to take an 8 out. Looky there, X plus 3. And here's where the fun begins. I get to cross off that with that and that with that. And then all I have is I have a 2 and a 6 and an 8. Well, let's keep going. That can go into this 3 times. What's left on top? Just the 1. What's left on the bottom? 24. That's it. All my letters are gone. All right, up here on the left, I'm going to factor x and x. 2 numbers that multiply to 24 that differ by 5. That's 8 and 3. Again, a little hint here. Probably going to be -8 because we want stuff to cancel. Not always, but a hint. But yes, I want more negatives than positives. 5x squared, that's it. X minus 8, nothing. But I can take a 2x out here, which gives me x plus 3. Oh, that looks familiar too. Now the fun begins. Cancel with that. Cancel with that. Sometimes it gets a little messy. So sometimes I will take that extra step and write the 5x squared over 2x just to kind of see where I'm at. And then again, where do I have more x's? Up top. How many more? 1 more. 5, 2, done. All right, x minus 5 stays. This is 5x plus 1, 5x minus 1, difference of squares. Over here, I can take a 2 out and get 5x minus 1. Oh, that looks familiar. And here I'm going to factor x and x. 2 numbers that multiply give me 25 that add to 10. Well, that's 5 and 5. And they're both going to be negative. So let's go. X minus 5 cancels. 5x minus 1 cancels. What's left? 5x plus 1 on the top. On the bottom, a 2 and an x minus 5. Double check. Nothing cancels. I'm done. All right, we have division. Remember, we don't do division. We multiply by the reciprocal or the flip. So this is going to become times, okay? And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just put the times here, and I'll just flip it right here. W5, y squared, a cubed, w squared, and then cross this out. It's up to you how you do it. If you want to rewrite underneath, whatever works for you. This is how I like to do it. Now, there's a lot going on, so I'm just going to multiply first, then cancel. Okay, so on the top, I have a to the 5th. No a's on the right side, so I'm just going to write a to the 5th. I have y cubed and y squared. That's going to give me y to the 5th. And then I have the w to the 5th. On the bottom, I have a w here, and a w squared, so that's w cubed. And sometimes people, you know, when you're writing this, you might go, I want to write it right underneath the letter. That's fine. It doesn't really matter. Okay. And I have y to the 7th. Well, I'll put that right here. And I have a to the 3rd. And I just ask myself, where do I have more a's? On top. How many more? 2 more. Y's, bottom. How many more? 2 more. W, how many more? 2 more. And that's it. Again here, I'm going to turn this into multiplication. We don't flip the first one, remember, just the second one. Now also, another time saver is, if you feel comfortable with this, as I said in the notes, when you're flipping this, if you want to factor out the 4 also, just to save yourself a step, you can, or you can take smaller steps. It doesn't matter. This is going to go downstairs. I'm going to pull out a 6x and get x plus 2. And then this is all gone. Over here, I'm going to take a 3 out and get x plus 2. Here it's going to be x plus 3, x minus 3, because it's a difference of squares. So what do I have? On the top, I have 3x plus 2, 4x plus 3. On the bottom, x plus 3, x minus 3, 6x, x plus 2. So let's see what we got. X plus 2 cancels. X plus 3 cancels. 3 can go into 6 2 times. Oh, but 2 can go into 4 2 times. So what is left? On top, nothing but the 2. Everything else canceled. On the bottom, don't forget this x. That's a very common mistake when it's not tied to in a binomial. People will lose that x. Okay, so sometimes when I have a lone x like that, I would suggest circling it or underlining it or putting an arrow just to remind yourself it's there. Okay, but that's it. All right, a lot of stuff going on here. So on the first one, I'm going to factor this. I'm just going to change to x's because s's look like 5s when you're writing them, not in type. So I'm just going to change to x for this. 2x and x. I need to make 15, 1 and 15, 3 and 5, probably 3 and 5. But I need negative 7 in the middle. So again, think about these numbers. They're going to make 7 by subtraction. So if I put the 5 here and the 3 here, that will give me 10 and 3. I want more negatives because I want negative 7 factored. I'm going to change this to times. This is going to go down here, and I'm just going to go right to factoring it. Again, if you need to take multiple steps, that's fine. I'm going to put x and x. I need two numbers that multiply, give me 25 that add to 10. Well, that's 5 and 5. They're both going to be negative because the 10 is negative. The s plus 4 is going to go up here. I'm going to change it to x again. That's done. That's done. Change the multiplication. And over here, this is going to factor to x, x. Two numbers multiply give me 16 that add to 8. Well, that's 4 and 4. Both positive because the 8 is positive. And there we go. Now the fun begins. So I have this x minus 5 with one of those x minus 5s. This x plus 4 with that x plus 4. What's left? 2x plus 3 over x plus 4, x minus 5. And yes, it's supposed to be s's, but they're just annoying to write. All right? Number 8, again factoring. I need 3x and x. Obviously 2 and 1, but I need to make 1 left over. So if I put the 2 here, it's going to give me 6. Don't want that. So 2 and 1, that gives me 3x and 2x. I want more positives. So I want the 3x to be positive and the 2x to be negative. That's done. Over here, again, this is going to go down. Change this to multiplication. I'm going to factor x, x. It's going to be 5 and 1. There's only one choice. I want more negatives than positives. That's done. 3x minus 2. Can't do anything with that. Now, be careful. Okay? X plus 1, that's easy. You cannot cancel the 3x minus 2s because they're on the same level. Also, be careful. Don't try to cancel it when it's still down here because it was division. You have to change the multiplication before there's any canceling done. So what's left on top, I need both of these. And I can write it twice or just write that. And then the x minus 5. All right, this I'm going to factor. X, x. Two numbers to multiply give me 4 that add to 5. Well, that's only going to be 4 and 1. They're both negative because the 5x is negative. This, change the multiplication. Drop down here, go up there. I can take out a 3x. That's going to give me, oh, look familiar? X minus 1 Over here, I'm going to take the 2 out and get x minus 4. Oh, that looks familiar too. That's all gone. So x minus 4, x minus 4, x minus 1, x minus 1. That x with that x. So I have a 6 left on the bottom. What's left on the top? Nothing. But we cannot put 0. Remember, that's a 1. When everything cancels, it's a 1. And that's all we have. All the letters are gone bye-bye. Number 10. Kind of a nastier one. More of a challenge one. But this is a perfect square trinomial, like we've had before, just with bigger numbers. So that's going to be, because this is a perfect square and that's a perfect square. So all you do is take the square roots of all those, and this tells you it's positive, because we get 20 and 20. This is going to go down here. Look familiar? It should. It's that 4x plus 5. This is going to go up here when we change this to multiplication. X, X. Two numbers that multiply give me 16 that add to 8. Well, it's going to be 4 and 4. Again, a perfect square trinomial. 1 is a perfect square, 16 is a perfect square. And they're both going to be negative. So that's all gone now. This one here, I definitely need a 3. And I need to make 8. So again, don't forget, we're going to have to do our smiley faces. So let's try 2 and 4. They need to differ by 10. Okay? So if I did 8 and 1, I'd have 24 minus 1. No. Or 8 minus 3. No. 2 and 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 2. Oh, that gives me 10. I want more negatives. So I want the 12 to be negative and the 2 to be positive. That's gone. Now I'm ready to have fun. 4x plus 5, 4x plus 5. X minus 4, x minus 4. What's left on top? The 1 4x plus 5, the x minus 4, and the 3x plus 2 on the bottom, and that's it. And last, but certainly not least, this is going to be a fun one. So first off, I'm going to get rid of this. Just go down here, and it gets factored. X, X, I'm making 10, differ by 3, that's 5 and 2. More negatives than positives, that's gone. That's going to go up here. I'm going to take a 3 out first to make this easier to factor. And then I'm going to do this. So I have X and X. Two numbers that multiply give me 12 that differ by 2. Oh, wait a minute. 3 into 24 is not 12. It's 8. Silly me. So, easier. Now, factors. Two numbers that give me 8 that differ by 2. Well, that's 4 and 2. I want more positives than negatives. All right. Now, let's go back and factor all this stuff here. Two numbers that multiply give me 15 that add to 8. Well, that's 5 and 3. And they're both negative because the 8's negative. I'm going to take out a 6x here. That's going to give me x plus 2. Again, you can always check. 6x squared, 12x, good. I'm going to take a 2x out here. X plus 4. And here, this is going to factor to x, x. Two numbers that multiply give me 6 that add to 5, 3 and 2. They're both negative because the negative 5. And now I'm ready to go. So I have an x minus 5 on top. I'm going to change color here just to do that. I have an x minus 3. Do I have an x minus 3 anywhere? Searching, yes. It's like playing Go Fish. I'm going to wait on the 6x. X plus 2. Got that. The 3. Oh, I have a... No, never mind. almost looked at that 3 there. Nothing with a 3. I have a 2 on the bottom. That doesn't help. X plus 4. Oh, I got that. X minus 2. Yep, I've got that. So what do I have left? Well, this 2x, well, first off, the x's can cancel. And then 2 can go into 6 3 times. That's all I have left. 3 times 3, 9. All of that mess simplifies to 9. And we're done.